Emotions are funny things. They can take you on a good path, or they can take you on a bad path. And I'm somewhere in the middle right now of the good and bad, because the fight in me wants to fight. So normally when I speak, I have this really wonderful PowerPoint presentation that I do that shows the deliberate targeting of the Black community and gives the documentation of the genocide that is happening in this country. But I don't want to show that today. I just want to share my heart for a number of reasons. I was in Dayton, where was I? Iowa, this week, and got to meet with two legislators there, two African-American legislators. And I was talking to them about the genocide. And both of those legislators had been paid by Planned Parenthood. And one of them looked at me and said, well, everything that you're saying is true, but I'm for Planned Parenthood. And I'm like, wow. So the person that invited me to Iowa sent me a message on Facebook, and it was an article about the billboards that Preterm has put up here in Cleveland. I don't know if you've ever argued with your computer, but I just wanted to punch someone. Abortion is sacred? Abortion is necessary? And as I read the article, it said, Black women need abortion. Why do we need abortion? This is what one of the preterm people said to the reporter. Black women need abortion. Why do only Black women need abortion? So when I got here last night in the middle of the snow, that was an interesting ride from the airport. I thank God that he sent an Uber driver who was from New York, because he knew how to drive. But when I got here, I began to look at where am I? And I'm staying at a hotel not too far from here, and I knew when we pulled up to the hotel that I was close to the hood. I could tell by looking at the surroundings of where I was. And so when I got here and talked to Molly and Janine, and they were like, okay, we're going to do this little short walk. Well, that wasn't quite the short walk I thought it was going to be, but I made it. I began to look at the surroundings of where Preterm is. It's in the middle of schools. That's right. There were a couple of schools there. There was a child care center just a block from where they're killing babies. There was a Delta Sigma Theta regional office. That's like the number one, number two Black sorority in the country. Right there on the same street with Preterm. There were medical facilities, dentist's office and such. And so it gives Preterm an appearance of being a good sound medical facility. And then finally, we arrived at Preterm. And right there, as I walked up, was a picture of Keisha who Preterm killed in 2014. They had so little regard for Lakeisha that they brought her out of that facility naked with the waist up in the toes. The abortionists came out yelling, she's an organ donor. She's an organ donor. And they took Lakeisha's body and hooked her up to life support for 7 days so they could harvest her organs. The state of Ohio went into Preterm, and they found all kinds of conditions that were or unconscionable that even dogs, a veterinarian would be shut down if he submitted a dog to what they found in preterm. And yet, as we were standing out there today, I saw cars going in, and I went over to walk, and I said, please tell me they're not going to be able to kill the babies. And he couldn't tell me that, because that's why those black women were there. So here we are, 45 years after Roe v. Wade was decided, and your candidate for Attorney General told you, Roe v. Wade is fiction. They made that up. A couple of years ago, I got this vision from God to do teas for pastors' wives, to educate about abortion and the genocidal impact it's having in the black community. So I figured, you know, God told me to do it. I'm going to have all this money flowing in, and I'm going to be able to travel the country and do these teas. And no money came in, and I ain't had no money to do no tea, and I was sitting in my prayer closet, and I was in a wail. Lord, where the money? You the one told me to do it. Now I'm all pumped up to do it, and you ain't gave me the money? And he said, shut up and write a book. And I said, okay, what you want me to write the book about? And that was my second pro-life book, The Fight for Life, Turning the Wounded into Warriors. And as I did the research for that book to answer the question, why did Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg say Roe v. Wade was the case that was going to let us get rid of the populations we don't want too many of? Why did she say that? I went back and read the Roe v. Wade decision. Now, prior to then, I had read the Roe v. Wade decision a cajillion times. But it never entered the front part of my brain what I was reading until I read the decision in preparation for writing that book. And there's one sentence in Roe v. Wade that has nothing to do with anything that the justices said before it or anything that they said after it. They said poverty, racial overtones, and population were going to complicate the question of abortion. Why is that sentence in here? Norma McCorvey is a Caucasian woman. She didn't go to the court and say they won't let me kill my baby because I'm white or black or anything. She just said, I want to kill my baby. I don't want it, right? The companion case, Doe v. Bolton, Sandra Kano was Caucasian. And she didn't even want an abortion. She went to see the attorney to get a divorce. And the attorney used her because she was pregnant to do the Doe v. Bolton case that took away all restrictions. Why is that sentence in there? It's in there because abortion has never been about a woman's right to choose. It has never been about choice. It has always been about population control and controlling the populations we don't want too many of. So when I see preterm putting in a newspaper article that black women need abortions, when I see them putting up billboards calling abortion sacred, calling abortion necessary, but where did they put those billboards? They didn't put them in the Caucasian neighborhood. They didn't put them in an Asian neighborhood. Where'd they put them?
Inner city.
So in 1987, President Reagan, and I hope I'm not being disjointed. I kind of feel like I am, but I hope I'm not. President Reagan signed into law the Proxmire Act. The Proxmire Act was the ratification of the UN Convention on Genocide. It says something to the effect of whether in peacetime or in war, someone sets out to destroy in whole or in part an ethnic group or racial group or religious group, it is genocide. And then they give you the definition of genocide. And one of the definitions or prongs in that definition is prevents births within a group. And Planned Parenthood and preterm have violated the Proxmire Act. Every time they kill a black baby in this country, they are in violation of that law. And so, the Restoration Project is launching an initiative, and I want to ask you to join me in this initiative. It's an Enough Summit. You know, ever since black people came to America, we have been in the crosshairs of the slave master, the segregationists, and now the eugenicists. Well, actually, the eugenicists have been in there from the beginning. And they are succeeding. And I want to say enough. Enough. Yes. We ain't bothering you. Leave us alone, Planned Parenthood. We're not bothering you. We're not seeking you out. You're seeking us out. You are paying black legislators to promote your doctrine of abortion. You are paying black ministers to sing the praises of your organization in order to lure us into those abortion centers so you can kill our babies. Enough. Yeah. Enough. So on May 15th, I am hoping that 2,000 to 3,000 or more black and Latino women will join me in Washington, D.C. to petition the Congress to, number one, stop Planned Parenthood from targeting black women, investigate their targeting. Number two, refer the matter to the Department of Justice for prosecution under the Proxmire Act. Hold them accountable for what they're doing. Number three, defund Planned Parenthood. You know, the only reason that I believe they have not defunded them is because every time they get close, the eugenicists in Congress, Planned Parenthood says, if you take our money, women of color will be denied access to reproductive health care. To me, that's code words for leave us alone, we take care of the niggas. Leave us alone. And so people like John McCain and Lisa Murkowski, who campaigned saying they were going to repeal Obamacare and stop forcing churches and groups like mine to have to pay for abortion, they backed down and went in a different direction, and they're still funding Planned Parenthood to the tune of $500 million every year. So take some of that money and put it in a fund so that women who have been injured by Planned Parenthood can get the help and care they need. If they were made infertile, give them money to help them adopt children. Amen. If they have breast cancer, help them get treatment. If they're crazy as a bed bug in the rug because you know there's a direct connection between abortion and mental illness, give them some money to help them get the treatment that they need. Because they have lied and said abortion is safe and it's no more serious than getting your tooth pulled or something. And you have women that are around us each and every day that are angry. Yeah. That are angry. And you know where that anger's coming from? When that child was ripped from their womb, they realized they had made an irrevocable decision. They couldn't fix it. They couldn't put the baby back. That anger has to go somewhere. And right now, many of those women that were marching in Washington, D.C. in the pink hats are directing the anger at us for telling the truth. Because they're hurt women and they can't face what they did. That's right. So take some of that money and let those women get treated. Let them get the help they need to heal. Let them get the counseling that they need. Let some Christian counselors come and get to them and tell them about the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living so they can be healed from that abortion decision. But by golly, we have to take a stand. And we cannot keep fighting this fight the way we have for the last 45 years. The needle hasn't moved. 45 years after Roe, we are still killing, actually we're killing way more babies today than we were killing in 1970. And contrary to the reports, you're going to hear that it's getting better. You know, this abortion center closed. It's not getting better. They're just not doing as many surgical abortions. But like in a state like Iowa, where they have telemed, you can just go on the internet and say, I want RU46, and they'll send it to your home. How many women are being traumatized as they deliver their babies in their home by themselves? How many women have to get further treatment because the RU486 didn't really work, and so they have to then go and get a surgical abortion on top of it to complete the abortion? How many of the women are dying? You know, they don't even collect those statistics to tell us how many women have died, whether in a surgical center or from RU486, because what they have found is that RU486